suddenly fainted from the shock of what she had experienced. A short while later, around 5 a.m., she woke up to the sound of an alarm. She went upstairs to check on her baby. Everything seemed fine. Then she heard a sudden door slam from downstairs. Filled with fear and panic, she rushed downstairs. When she reached the door, she was trembling with fear. Finally gathering her courage, she reflexively opened the door and saw her husband standing there.
He looked at his wife with a smile and said, "I'm sorry for waking you, sweetheart, but I had to come suddenly."
After he finished speaking, her husband, seeing the blank expression on Sarah's face, couldn't understand what was going on. When he asked her what was wrong, Sarah couldn't hold back her tears and hugged him. The man froze and began to ask,
"Honey, what's going on? What's the problem?"
Sarah just cried and hugged her husband tightly. Too scared to say what was happening. The man hugged her back, took Sarah inside, sat her down on the couch, and after bringing her a glass of water, asked again what was happening. The first thing that came to his mind was their baby. He ran to the baby's room and burst into the room. The baby was sleeping. Everything seemed fine. When he came back downstairs, Sarah seemed a little better and looked okay. The relief of seeing her husband was clearly visible on her face. Just as he was about to speak, a message tone sounded from her phone. The message was from her husband.
"Good morning, my love. Today is as bright as your face. Please call me when you wake up."
Sarah felt as if she had been struck in the head. Suddenly, fear and anxiety overwhelmed her mind, and her vision went dark. After about 5 or 10 seconds, she came to her senses and was so frightened she didn't know what to do. Crazy questions were spinning in her head. What am I going through? What is all this? If that thing wasn't my husband, then what was it? Actually, the answer was obvious. The whispering had returned. Sarah couldn't think straight from fear. Her mind was not in the right place. Suddenly she thought of her baby and ran upstairs, rushing inside. The baby was still sleeping. There seemed to be no problem. Sarah pulled herself together and went downstairs, wanting to go out into the garden and check the surroundings. When she stepped outside the door, everything was quiet and deserted, covered in grey clouds, and there was a chilly, murmuring air. It was a truly eerie atmosphere outside, matching what she had just experienced. After walking around the front yard, she decided to check the shed in the back. She cautiously made her way there. As she approached, she heard some strange noises. She saw a stick outside the shed and decided to pick it up. Just as she was standing in front of the door, a loud noise came from inside, as if someone had dropped something. Summoning her courage, Sarah held her breath and suddenly rushed into the shed. There was nothing but sunlight filtering through the wood and old furniture. Sarah's heart was pounding, as if it were about to burst out of her chest. Suddenly, a sound came from a metal can on her left. Sarah reflexively swung the stick in her hand, but the source of the sound was a fox. It must have been hungry or cold, so it had taken shelter in the cabin. Sarah took a deep breath and started laughing. Her nerves were shot. When she approached it to pet it, the wild fox suddenly ran away through the open door of the cabin. "Hey!" she shouted, running out of the cabin after it. When she looked around, the fox was nowhere to be seen. She turned her head to the right as usual and saw the shadow staring at her on the path in the front yard. And at that moment, she froze. They were face to face, staring at each other. Sarah's mind was racing. She didn't know what to do. The shadow began to whisper, calling out Sarah's name. But this wasn't a normal whisper. The sound was literally ringing in Sarah's ears. Unable to bear the sound, Sarah covered her ears, but the sound didn't diminish. A few seconds later, the sound stopped. Sarah raised her head and looked at the shadow again. The shadow was still looking at Sarah and suddenly began walking towards her. Paralyzed with fear, Sarah, not knowing what to do, locked herself in the cabin.
Every story has its truth. Subscribe for the next nightmare.